Welcome to the Hindu editorial analysis on 10th January 2022. The title of the editorial I am going to discuss today is Growth Concerns. The National Statistical Office of the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation released on January 7, 2022 the first advance estimates for the financial year 2021-22. The first advance estimates are usually released by the National Statistical Office every year on January 7 before the end of financial year. Since the financial year will end only on March 31st, 2022 and the provisional estimates will only be available by May 2022, the first advance estimates are released by the end of the first week of January 2022. The first advance estimates are released in January itself to help prepare budget allocations for the Union Budget 2022, which shall be tabled on February 1, 2022. The second advance estimates are released by February 2022 and as more data will be available then. The first advance estimates are arrived at by extrapolating the sector-wise estimates such as Index of Industrial Production up to October 2021, inflation, both retail and wholesale inflation data up to November 2021, sale of commercial vehicles data up to September 2021, and so on. The extrapolation method can be understood as taking ratio of last year's 7-month data to the full year data and applied to current year 7-month data. For example, if the ratio of first 7-month data to full year data of 2020-21 was 2 times, it is presumed that the first 7-month data of 2021-22 will be multiplied by 2 to get the full year ending March 2022 data. It is pertinent to understand the concepts of GDP and GVA at this juncture. GDP or gross domestic product is the demand side of the economy and gross value added is the supply side of the economy. GDP is arrived at by adding up all the expenditures and GVA is arrived at by adding the value added by different sectors of the economy such as agriculture, industry and services. To understand the first advance estimates, it is also pertinent to understand the difference between nominal GDP and the real GDP. Real GDP is the difference between the nominal GDP and the inflation. It is also important to understand the three main contributors to GDP at this analysis. The three main contributors are private consumption demand, investments in the economy, and government expenditures. Private consumption demand is the expenditure by the people of the country. The investments in the economy are the private investments through business enterprises like setting up of factories. The government expenditures are like expenditures on roads, bridges, dams, salaries, and so on. So much so for the conceptual base for the analysis for today. Let us now discuss the numbers coming out of the first advance estimates. The real GDP is estimated to grow by 9.2% in 2021-22, catapulting India to the position of the fastest growing economy this year. RBI had estimated GDP growth at 9.5%. Last financial year, the GDP growth was minus 7.3%. This financial year augurs well for the growth. Nominal GDP is pegged at 17.6%. Note the point how inflation plays the role between real GDP and nominal GDP. The difference between real GDP and nominal GDP is 8.5%, all due to inflation. The rupee value of GDP is estimated to be around rupees 148 lakhs crores. Mind you, this is the absolute estimate of the real GDP. Last financial year 2020-21, the real GDP was rupees 135 lakhs crores. Hence, there is a 9.2% expansion in real GDP and is the reason for the estimate of 9.2% growth by NSO. The GVA is estimated at rupees 135 lakhs crores in financial year 2021-22. In financial year 2019-20, The GVA was rupees 132.5 lakhs crores. This was the pre-pandemic year and a mere 1.9 percentage growth from pre-pandemic level is observed. However, when compared to last financial year 2020-21, a 8.6 percentage growth is observed in GVA. While the two main contributors to the GDP, namely private investments in the economy and government expenditures, are slated to bounce back from the pandemic, the major contributor of 50% to GDP, that is the private consumption demand, will slump. The average private consumption demand during pre-pandemic year 2019-20 was rupees 41.51 lakhs crores. The average private consumption demand during financial year 2021-22 is estimated to be rupees 40 lakhs crores. This shows that the average private consumption, which is the largest contributor to GDP, will remain lower than the pre-pandemic level. This is the biggest challenge to economic recovery. The contribution of only one sector to the GVA remaining below pre-pandemic level is the contact-intensive sector. This includes trade, hotel, transport, communication. This sector will remain below pre-pandemic level by 8.5%. The lag in this sector will play a major role in bringing sluggishness in the private consumption demand. This is because the contact intensive sector employs around 18.5% of the total employment as per the data from the periodic labor force survey. An important missing in the whole story projected by NSO is the impact of the third wave led by Omicron. The third wave will affect the contact intensive sector badly. The growth components of agriculture and non-agricultural sector to GVA number is 5.2% and 10%. The corresponding growth for the financial year 2020-21 was 2.9% and 2.8% respectively. Could you observe the widening gap in the contribution of agricultural sector to the total GVA? This is alarming. This can be interpreted that the farmers will spend less in the coming fiscal as they cannot afford the non-agriculture sector supply. The union budget is just knocking the doors. Come February 1, 2022, it is again budget announcement. Dear Finance Minister, all the numbers are before you. You might have observed consumption front is weak due to weak affordability. An appeal to you would be to introduce a liberal budget, loosening the purse and introducing investment and consumption supportive measures. With this appeal to the Finance Minister of India, let me call it a day. For now, thank you.